Well, a very warm welcome to Daily Dispatch powered by HSBC. I'm Priya Sheth, and joining me on this very interesting conversation is Kapil Raizada from IntrCity. Thank you very much, Kapil, for joining us today. I want to begin by asking you about 2022. The year has kicked off with the pandemic yet again in its full swing, and of course, that's once again going to have an impact on travel going forward. So, tell us a little bit about what this means for IntrCity.
Right. So, Priya, just to maybe I can take a step back. So, if you look at how 2021 went, and it may have some learnings for us. So overall for IntrCity 2021, despite interruptions, went pretty well. We grew almost 300% year on year. So, if I were to take, for example, December 2021, where we did over like 1.5, 1.6 lakh seats a month. Compared to December 2020, we were about a third of that volume, right? So yes, the waves do impact travel temporarily, but I think if we take a bigger picture, I think there is very clearly a shift happening from unbranded to branded mobility across the country. We can see, that kind of a shift happening, which has worked pretty well in our favor. So yes, the overall, I would say the market growth in mobility has not been as vibrant as we would have liked. But if I look at individually from a brand perspective or from the leading players perspective, the growth has been very healthy, and that's largely because of the consumer shift in preference. So trust is becoming important, and people are choosing brands that they trust for travel. So there are pockets of growth which are running alongside pockets of I would say decline.
Right. So among the entire network that you operate, tell us a little bit about which pockets have really done well, where you've seen challenges play out.
Right. So the way we're seeing it is that overall at the macro level, the market is broadly flat in the last, I would say now close to 2 years. But what is happening is if you look at individual players in the market, there is a consolidation happening. The smaller players have exited the system, and the bigger players have grown bigger. From a traveler perspective, now they value reliability, trust, hygiene, cleanliness. Those factors are becoming more important. So what's happening is that there's a shift in travelers' choice of the partner they wish to travel with, and I think that's overall good for the industry because bus industry particularly was in need for standardization and consolidation, and that process is happening now.
Right. Going forward in 2022, what kind of roadmap have you set for yourself? Are there any key drivers according to you in terms of overall growth?
So this year, we expect the impact this year to be lesser than what it was last year. Our assessment is that we've kind of seen probably the tougher 2 years, I would say 20 and 21. Last year, we grew about 300%. This year, we expect growth to be stronger than last year's. We have a fair bit of presence across about 16 states in India. And today, we are largely covering the main hubs with some of the tier 2, tier 3 cities. We plan to go much deeper into tier 2 and tier 3 this year. And our assessment is that given that a fair bit of customer loyalty and brand awareness of IntrCity has already happened over there, we are fairly confident that we should be able to break the 3x growth that we achieved in the last year, which is December to December 2021.
Right. Tell us a little bit about, what would be perhaps the expansion strategy out there in terms of fleet? What is the plan that you've sort of put in place?
So Priya, the way we operate is that we are essentially upgrading the entire travel experience that travelers have across India, right? So our business model is such that we take a particular route and we start transforming the existing fleet into converting a normal bus into IntrCity smart buses, right? And that process has come on very well. A lot of operators now, I think practically every operator that we know of, is keen to upgrade from a normal bus to an IntrCity smart bus. So essentially what we are now focusing on is taking the brand deeper and wider. we already have a fairly large supply of operators and the fleet who are queued up for this year to be transformed from a normal bus to a smart bus. Right? So our goal this year is to essentially, continue to deliver the same experience and promises that we are now known for over the last 2 years, and basically reach out to more and more consumers so they are aware of the brand, they are aware of the service, what the technology and the product stand for, and being able to convert as many buses on our current routes. That's the first priority, to IntrCity smart buses. We are a very small percent of market share still. On the routes that we operate, we are like in the roughly 10% kind of a share. Right? We see clear opportunities to take the market share to 25-30% on the routes where we exist. And the second is, of course, expanding to near routes, going deeper into tier 2 and tier 3 cities. That will basically power the remaining part of the growth.
Right. What about the kind of investment that you'd like to pump in to grow this business?
Right. So the inherent business is such that it's not a very capital intensive business. So to give you a sense, the business generates about 20% positive gross margins for us at current state, right? What we are really focusing on is that we don't expand. We expand fast enough to be able to attract enough demand onto our buses. That's the first piece. And second is to also ensure that the operators who are coming on board, they're able to provide the same kind of experience and service that we have kind of mandated for the product, right? So our challenge right now is more in terms of how fast can we scale while ensuring our partners grow and the experience remains the way it is. That's where we are trying to balance growth versus scale, kind of a scale versus demand kind of a chart. Capital wise, it's not a capital intensive business, and because the margins are good in this business, it kind of pays back for itself pretty soon.
Right. In terms of revenue and growth targets, what kind of revenues are you, looking for in the short term?
Okay. So Priya, December, our revenues were about in the range of about 20 CR a month. This year, as I said, we expect to do more than 3x. So our baseline is about, we should be by 60 CR thereabouts by the end of this year. That's what our base target is. We expect that we should be able to achieve it by Q4 itself. And that's how we're kind of planning it, just taking 2021 as a baseline guidance for 2022 planning.
Kapil, a final question before I let you go. At this point in time in the market, there are a lot of private equity funds that have been chasing startups, lots of cash in the market. Are you looking at going to the market and raising some funds at this point in time?
Yes. So we've also been we've seen a fair bit of traction on our part too. A lot of private funds are right now chasing. There's a lot of activity happening on the fundraise side. We're also in talks with several investors as we speak for the fundraise for this year, and hopefully I should be able to let you know as things close, maybe sometime Q1 of this year.
All right, Kapil, thank you very much for talking to us today. It's always been a pleasure speaking with you. Thanks so much for your time.